Hello, Michaela.
Hello, Lucas.
Is that how you pronounce your name in German? Michaela, or is it different?
You can spell it like in Spanish or Italian, which is Michaela,
Yeah.
which would perfectly fit with our interview, with the subject of this interview, I would say. But if you prefer German, it's Michaela.
Okay. Yeah, it's kind of funny, Michaela. Yeah. Can you give us a short introduction of who you are for people who are not familiar with you?
Yeah, I'm Michaela or Michaela. I'm Austrian. I'm a tango dancer and a pharmacist. And I live right now with 3,000 books. You can see some of them in the back. And since October 22, I'm also an author of a book, which is called Milongueros, Tango Legends in Private.
So that's what we're going to talk about today.
Yes.
And yeah, I'm looking forward to hear all kinds of details that went into the making of this book.
Yeah.
And yes, at the end of the interview, we'll also talk about where people can buy the book if they're interested, and I'll put links in the description of the video on YouTube. If people would like to go ahead and support your work. But
Thank you very much.
can you tell me a little bit like about your own tango history first, like about learning to dance and
My initiation with tango was in 2006, so that's quite long ago. So we in autumn said to and myself, we're gonna travel Argentina, like going from Buenos Aires to Tierra del Fuego, to Fireland. And 1 month before we left, I said to myself, my gosh, I have to learn tango. So in 1 month, I could learn tango and dance there. So of course, this was an illusion. So I'm still learning. So I came to Buenos Aires, and the first night when I arrived, I immediately got out to dance at the milonga, in this case in Confiteria La Ideal. So I think people who have been to Buenos Aires know this very legendary milonga. And so I went there quite too early, like gringa, no? Goes there like before time. And so I was there in this ballroom in the first floor, just me and a guy who was sitting opposite of the ballroom in the darkness. And during this night, when it started and we had a drink together and we danced, we fell in love. So this was my initiation, like it was being in Buenos Aires, dancing tango, falling in love with the tango and with a man, and having these great steaks, the red wine and the short nights. So it was like heaven. So in the end, the guy left, but the tango hopefully will stay forever.
okay? So I don't understand who were we when you left Austria for Buenos Aires.
So there were two friends of mine were,
Okay, friends. Okay.
but they are not interested in tango. So it was like my turn to go out in Buenos Aires.
And then you traveled after that.
After that, we traveled, but I flew back earlier to see this guy again, and I moved from the hotel to his flat. So it was a very intensive love affair, I would call it.
Okay, well, that's a nice story, and I also like how you essentially started to dance in Buenos Aires, even though you literally started to dance somewhere else, but it was so quickly,
Yeah.
1 month.
So he was also a beginner. So we took lessons together. We went also to the opera. And it was a really like intensively learning the tango, because he also had this feeling of love all the time. So for me, it was perfect.
Yeah, that sounds like unforgettable memories.
It is.
Yes, he was Argentinian.
He was Argentinian. He is a lawyer. And when I was in Buenos Aires, like 3 months ago, he came along to one of my presentations in one of the milongas to see me. So it was a nice seeing again. Yeah.
And Can you tell me something more about your tango career? So how did it develop after this first stage?
So what I found out quite early, like it was in the 80s, maybe you know the interpretation of Liber Tango by Grace Jones. And
No.
it was when I listened to this song, I had to dance. So something was making me dance in the tango. And so when I came home from Buenos Aires in 2006, I started immediately to take lessons, and further on, I went like on encuentros or marathons where you intensively dance for 3 days with the same people. So I did kind of travel a lot to have more possibilities. Yeah.
And that's how you're mostly dancing right now at these events, or are you?
Not anymore, after the pandemic. So I take it slow. I very much love to go to the local milonga and see my friends, and keep it a little bit low key, or travel to Vienna. Yeah.
Okay.
But I've been to Buenos Aires actually for 3 months, so that's something.
This year, you mean?
This
Or
year, yes,
oh,
from
okay.
February to April.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that, I suppose that was for your book as well?
It was for my book. Yeah, I had 4 presentations on milongas, but also on the Legislatura of Buenos Aires. This is something where people are honored that care for the tango. So I also have a kind of paper that says, you from Austria, first person ever from overseas, got this honor to be presented in the Legislatura, and I'm very proud of that.
Yes.
I can show it later to you, or how was it like? I have made some photos.
Yes, so we'll look at that later. So one final question for the introduction. So how was your relationship like with Buenos Aires after like during the years? Did you go there often, or
Yeah, so I forgot to mention, I fell in love with this guy, and I fell in love with tango, but I also fell in love with Buenos Aires.
okay.
So I love these hectic days and these magic nights and going out, and it's like a place where I long for to go again and again. So since 2006, I think nearly each year I went there.
Okay. So you have done all these things, and then at some point you got an idea for a book, which is essentially about Buenos Aires, right? It's about something specific from tango in Buenos Aires, but it has everything to do with Argentina in many ways.
Yes, it's about tango culture. In this case, it happened like that me and my teacher in those days, and a very good friend of mine, Flor Argento, she is a porteña, and we sat in a cafe. It was a late summer day, and we were talking, and she said, listen, what is a pity is that these milongueros, these dancers that dedicate their whole life to the tango, that started to dance in the golden era of tango, which was before 1955, that their legacy is not known. So there's not much knowledge about these dancers, because they could tell us about the tango in the 50s, where they had no teachers, just the corner to learn, and of course about their feelings and approach to tango. So, and I said, it was like, I got it. That's the idea, because in those times I was very much interested in photography, and I was looking for a project I could follow. And immediately, as she said this to me, I said, that is it. This is my project. And from this point, everything started with the book.
Yes. So how did you become interested in photography?
So I'm interested in photography since my childhood, when my father first gave me his camera, and I was glimpsing through it, peeping through it, and immediately I know I like to frame things, and it gives me pleasure.
Okay.
Yeah.
But you've told me before that you were also taking some courses. Is this before the interview idea or after the interview idea?
It was like before.
Okay.
And also afterwards, because afterwards, as you can guess, I had a huge mass of photos, and they had to be selected and sequenced. So I needed some professional help in this case.
Yes.
But maybe I should talk about the contents of the book.
Yeah, first, that's probably better. Yes, yes.
So this book contains 13 portraits of milongueros. I already said the definition. So it's a dancer who already danced in the golden era, and who talked with me in interviews, and of whom I made photos. And so there are 13 of those in the book, and you can also listen to their favorite tangos. So in this book, they tell me about their love for tango, their attitude, their lifestyle with tango, because to be a milonguero is lifestyle. So during the day, they wait for that the night starts and they can go out and appreciate to dance. So this is their daily pleasure, is to go out and dance. And Florencia Argento, I already mentioned, she's perfect for introducing me to these people that, of course, I did not know personally, but she introduced me to some of them. And after that, the milongueros I photographed introduced me to their friends, other milongueros, which was quite very funny. So they were talking about, like, this is the author of the book in the milonga. This is the author. And so they were parading and dancing in front of my seat, like, maybe you can use me also in the book. So
that sounds very Argentinian for some reason. Yeah.
Yes. So a little bit of showing up. And I don't know what the other tourists thought, that I am a person of interest. I'm just an ordinary dancer there.
VIP.
VIP, but they are parading in front of me. So this was quite a nice experience.
Yes. Can you just give a little summary of who your friend is? Maybe that helps to understand how this got to be.
Florencia is special in a way because she was a student of some of these milongueros. So she, of course, knows their lifestyle, and she is a personal friend of those, like, for many years since then. And she still has contact. So this helped me. So this is a second thing she does. She is a producer. So she produced or organized these events in Buenos Aires for this year. So to go to a milonga, to meet all these portrait milongueros again, make there a huge party. And also, like, if they are still dancing, they could also perform there. Or we also have a singer in the book. So he sang on these events, and she is the organizer of all of this. So, and she's a choreographer also. So if you need anybody in this kind of way, she's perfect.
Okay, well, that sounds really good. And were you familiar with any of these people just from going to Buenos Aires all those years and watching people?
Yeah. Yeah, you can see them on the milongas. So we had some things that the milonguero should have. He should, like when we started to take the photographs in 2011, it was like they should still be dancing. They should be dancing before 1955, so in the golden era, and they should be kind of famous. So either like winning the world championship in tango. So we have a couple in the book, or if they are famous as an individual because they are very individual dancers or very interesting characters. So this was the choices we had to do, and of course we had to see if they agree to this interview.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. But it sounds like it may have been a bit hard to select, like to.
Yeah, but it was very interesting because I was taught a lot about these individual dancers. So in those times, they taught me the most important thing was to be a very individual dancer. You know, not copying anybody. So, but having your own style, your own copyright, so to say. So this was the most important for the man I interviewed.
Yeah, so this, I suppose this was also like really important for the book to have these people who have their own style, and it's like in contrast to today where a lot of professional dancers dance in a kind of similar way.
Absolutely.
And yeah, while you still you can make a portrait of these people before they all pass away, which is pretty much what will happen at some point.
Yeah.
From their age.
Yeah. So right now there are quite a lot of projects on these milongueros, but at those time we were like the first who started. It's a pity that it took me such a long time to finish. But it's there, and it's the only book about milongueros, and it's the only book with portraying milongueros in their homes. So this is something extraordinary to see them in their intimate situation, in their houses, in their apartments, how they live.
Yes. So this is essentially a great idea how you this combination of factors. Like it sounds like a really good idea for a book. Because it's so unique if you combine all these things together, and then you get these photographic portraits of people who like some of these people are well known, but people have never seen them in front of their bathroom mirror or something. So that's like the intimacy of someone's home is that what you usually don't get to see unless you're friends with them. But
yes, I came quite close, and I know that I had a big responsibility to show very objectively their legacy they are showing to me, and they are also showing their souls to me. So the biggest responsibility was to kind of make it happen in a secure way. So afterwards, if they see themselves in the book, that they can be proud of themselves. So this was the biggest responsibility, how to choose the photo and what I published in the book.
Yes. So can you tell me a bit about, we talked about how you selected people, or how your friend essentially recommended them to you.
Yeah.
But how, in terms of making of, so let's just say the first time you actually went to someone's home.
Yeah.
Like what happened from the start? So how did you do this?
Yeah. So what we wanted to create is something that is not a tango stereotype. So we had the concept of no black and white, but color photography. And we said no sexy poses, but intimate, emotional situations. And the third thing we said is we want to show the transformation of the ordinary porteño to the milonguero. So what do they do before they go to the milonga? This point they did not know beforehand. So it was a kind of surprise for them. So how did we start? We said, we want to go to their apartments like they would go. So we chose public transport. So I had, you know, the backpack with the camera and things. And while going there, I also always went with my translator, which was Florencia first, and then Vera Palaoro afterwards. And on the way, I was like looking always for a cake. So if we passed by a bakery, I just, you know, like, I did not know which cake I will take. I just took the cake which was first, like staring at myself. So I was in the bus with my translator, my backpack, and my cake, or our cake. The cake is the icebreaker thing, as you might imagine. So because they might know Florencia, but they did not know me. So we needed the icebreaker. So we knocked, or we rang, and then they opened, and we went in, introduced ourselves. And the first thing I did was, of course, putting my cake away, but to look what light I will use, you know, because it should be like documentary photography, which means no artificial light from outside, just the light which is available in the apartment, and not letting them pose, but making the photos out in a natural way. When they move, I have to find my right time to make the photo. So this was the thing which also belonged to the concept. So we first like put our things away and started to have like coffee with the cake. So we had the cake, they had the coffee, and then we started I started to ask them. At the same time, I started also to take photographs, because I wanted to take the photographs in these moments of emotion. So when they said something emotional about like the feeling in tango, I wanted to have a photo of this. So not posing, but having them in the moment when they are thinking of the tango, and then get the photo. This was very important to me, to have authentic photographs. So but it did not work out all the time like I thought it would be, because I had one milonguero. I will not say his name, he's in the book. So if you have the book, you know whom I mean. So it was like, no, he did not want a cake, but he was doing some toasts, but directly on the oven, on the plate of the oven, like, you know what I mean when I so it's not like in a pan, but directly. And he made some burnt toast, and I had to drink liquor with him. The liquor was so sweet, was awfully sweet. So I was really dedicating also myself to these interviews. Also, like a little bit of suffering belongs to this. So I had the case that, you know, we had first, so we are still in the program, so we had 1 hour of interview talking about how did the dance in the 50s, how was it organized, the milonga, how did the people dress, where did you learn tango, which was a big chapter. Of course, their own individual biography. And the second thing was the feeling in tango. Why did I ask that? I asked that because I was asking my friends in Austria, come on, I'm going to Buenos Aires. What shall I ask them? What is of interest for our tango community, who will hopefully buy the book if it's done? And they said, I want to know how these people feel in tango? What is tango feeling? How would they describe it? So this was one question I always asked. And there's also one chapter about this, answers of them in the book. So we had 1 hour of interview, and then I said to them, you know, something is missing. I want you to show me how you prepare for the milonga. So first they were like, you know, what does she expect? Shall I strip or something? And so I said, you know, it's up to you. I just wanna have the transformation, and I wanna take photos during this transformation, and of course, I want to make a photo what came out of the transformation. So, and so some were polishing their shoes, some were shaving, and some were really stripping, putting on new clothes in front of me. And yeah, so I had an even more intimate approach, because I was in their bathrooms and I was in their wardrobes. And so in this intimate situation that I am, in this case, I was always alone. It was me, the camera, and the milonguero or milonguera. Yeah. So it was a kind of dance, you know. This is not something static. So this is something moving. It's like in the tango. So it's like action reaction, and so this was a very interesting part for me too, to manage that. Also, with my physical, in a physical way, because. So we have one portrait with a singer who in this time lived in the tango show house where he was performing at night. And he was living, and his bathroom was on the rooftop. So there was the rooftop, and there was a little, how do you call it? A little house, which was the bathroom. But it was like high noon when we did the interview. So it was really hot there. And it was small, and it was tight, and it was closed. It was like a sauna. And he was there shaving. And I was like on the toilet, you know, standing, bending over and trying to get in a position where I am not seen, but just him looking at his mirror, at himself in the mirror.
It sounds like some really difficult photography. Yes. Like you need some skills for this.
But at the end, I was so happy about those photos, because afterwards he went with us down to the tango showroom, which was dark, like a moonless night. In his tuxedo, freshly shaved, there was just one bulb lighting the room. And there he was singing a cappella, so like just singing for us. And this is something I will never forget. So it was everything was worth it. That's what I knew in this moment.
Yes. So what did they know beforehand? Like, what did they know about what would happen during the appointment? Like, okay. were they informed, or?
They were informed. It was like the information was, we are coming to your home, and we will ask you some questions, and we will make some photos. And that's all they knew. So the big thing, and for me, one of the most interesting parts was the transformation. To show the transformation, so you can see how they kind of have a different posture, that they are self-confident and beautiful and happy. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. it's a really great idea. So it's maybe a weirdly specific question, but did you get any feedback afterwards of what they thought of this, like the photos you made, like
Yes, so they have seen the photos in this year. So before they have not seen photos. So the feedback came in the presentations on the milongas in Buenos Aires this year when they saw themselves first time in the book. So this was a very critical moment, of course, because in public with the book 10 years after, and you see yourself in the book the first time. So the critical moment was there. So I was looking at them when they first saw themselves, and I was very glad that they were content and smiling and happy about this product, because the legacy is like in a book, you know. Others might do interviews which you could listen to, like Pepa Palazzon. There are great projects going on. But this is the only thing where you can, my legacy is in this book. And that's why I love it, I think.
Yes. Let me see. Yeah, I just need to go back a bit in history, I guess. But so you had some people and you did the interviews, and then other people also wanted to be interviewed.
This is the parading.
Yeah.
Right.
So how did it work out from there? So did you talk with those people, or did you have to select between people? Or were you able to include everyone, or did you have to make choices, or?
I had to make choices, but not depending on the milonguero, but more depending on my own time I had. So I went there 3 times for 4 weeks to produce 13 portraits altogether. If I would have done more, I would not have had the time. So of course, it's a pity not everybody who would fit into this book is in the book, I have to say quite openly. So there are many more that should be in the book. One famous milonguera I did not get was Maria Nieves. Probably you have heard of her, like Tango Argentino and still dancing. And she's this short red hair, also with emblematic photos of her in her youth, great dancer. And she did not answer my emails and letters and things, but I think she was filming at those times. I would have loved to have her in the book. Yeah.
Yes. So how did you reach? How many? Did you say how many portraits? 14, or what did you say?
It's 13 portraits.
13. Okay, but so how did you get to this number at some point? Did you, like, was it like a selection, like my maximum is like 13, or how did that go?
No, the selection was that that we also did interviews with people who did not fit in our concept. They were too young.
Okay.
Unfortunately, they were too young, but maybe that's the next project.
Yes. Yeah, it's a really interesting project, like just the way you did it, and now you brought this cake, and like it's full of these funny details, and yeah. So who was the first person you interviewed?
The first person I interviewed was, I think it was El Nene Maszi, who's the first in the book. And we had great fun. So Florencia knew him before, and she said, this is a very longed for dancer. So at a certain time of the interview, he asked me, what's the favorite orchestra of yours? He asked me, and I said, oh, it's Pugliese, which is quite difficult to dance, as we know. But at this time, I was a beginner, so I did not know better. And I knew, oh my God, he asked me because he will dance with me tonight. So I was already getting nervous. So it was at Niño Bien, a milonga, which no longer exists, unfortunately, which was my favorite milonga, which appeared every Thursday in those days. And it had a big old ballroom, and people had chairs, had their tables around this ballroom. And so I was like sitting on one side, he was sitting on the opposite side. So normally Pugliese is played like later by the DJs, like before the end of the milonga. But I realized I was really freaking out nervous, and I was transpiring awfully. So, you know, if you have ever been to Buenos Aires, transpiration is the absolutely no-go. So not a slightest smell, nor even, you know, a little sweaty thing. So I said, oh my God, all women here are longing for this man. I will have the chance, and then I'm in this stadium of sweat. I went to the bathroom, and the bathroom in Niño Bien was something you've never seen before, because it was a real room, and it was like you could have a coffee there, you could have a glass of champagne. Of course, people were chatting, women were chatting. You could buy shoes, and there were all kind of tools for refreshment, like for the maquillage, lipsticks, everything. And I was looking, I was kind of a little bit refreshing with some water. And then I was looking for a deodorant spray, you know. I was looking, and I'm short-sighted, and I took the closest spray I could get. It was also the biggest. And I was kind of spraying myself all over until I smelled something like wood. And then I looked at on the declaration of the
label, yeah.
It was a toilet spray. So I was feeling even worse afterwards, and it was impossible to kind of clean me off this spray because it was all over me. So I went back to the ballroom. The Pugliese tanda started. El nene masce mirada a mí. I say yes. He comes over the dance floor. I stand up in front of him. We connect. And what should have been the best moment of my life, or my tango life, was the worst moment for me, because I always had in my mind, I smell like a toilet spray. So no relaxations. He did not kind of mention anything. And some years later, I asked him, remember our first dance? And said, yes. Did you realize anything unusual on me? And he said, no, everything was beautiful. So at the end, it worked out right. But in the moment, it was like, please, Flor, open and I can jump in.
Yes. Yeah, that's how painful tango can be sometimes.
Painful, yes.
Yes, even though it shouldn't have been that way, because you're dancing with a great dancer, and but yeah, that's how the mind works. Psychology. That's how our psychology works. So the first time you interviewed him, that was the first interview. Were you very nervous about the project, about the photos, or did you feel confident?
You know, I was training beforehand. So I was training with friends of mine.
That's smart.
To do portraits, and also to talk and shoot. So you know. So
multitasking.
To provoke something which I could then make a photo of. So this I was doing beforehand to be more fluent in the process.
But that's a very good preparation because like it's expensive to go to Buenos Aires, and you like you only get one chance in a way. Of course, you could redo it if you don't like the photos, but the magic happens the first time you meet these people in their homes. Like if you do it the second time, it might be a bit artificial. So that's good to hear that you were so prepared. You know, I just mentioned like multitasking, and that's pretty much what it is. Like you were alone, like you had to translate it, but you had to do both things at the same time, have a conversation and make these photos. It sounds pretty crazy to me how you manage to you know, combine these things. That's yeah.
Yeah, so
I'm not sure if I could do that, but you did, so we're happy.
Yeah, it was a very intense experience, of course, but I won't miss a moment, really. I learned to get to know so many great people, and also I learned so many things in the process, in the production of a book. But the main thing was to be so close to somebody I admire.
Yes, yes.
Idols, our tango idols, the pioneers of tango.
Yes, it's yeah, especially considering how old these people are, and that at some point nobody will probably be left, and that you have the proof of these all these things they have experienced, especially in the questions like the feeling about tango.
Yeah.
Because if you ask them about history, that's more like static. It's more something that happened in the past. But if you ask them about their feelings in tango, or when you make photos of them while they're changing, while they're dressing up, it's like something that's based on like so many decades of being a dancer. Like it's the perfectly distilled kind of information that yeah, I mean, people in the future, they might be able to look up like how did Michaela from Austria, how did she learn to dance? But you know, you cannot ask a person about how do you feel about, like, it's not factual information. Like, it's factual information. I started to dance in 1950, but these other things are more like almost spiritual.
Yeah, and I have a tip for all the tango dancers. So two of my milongueros said that before they go dancing, they imagine themselves being 20 again. So this is the kind of psychological preparation of some of them, not of all, to imagine, to go back in time and come in the feeling when I was young, I started to dance, and how was the feeling like? So this was quite interesting to me, and you can follow that. It makes you feel different.
Yes, yes, yes. Even though a lot of people here, they cannot say they were already dancing when they were 20, but
So we say I imagine I'm 40 again.
yes, yes. So let's just focus on like because that's something you mentioned yourself when we talked earlier before the interview, that like some things, like some funny stories or things that don't work out, like it's kind of a blooper section maybe. Do you have anything like that?
So what did not work out? So it was like, normally everything works out, but these intimate things also contain that people were saying to me, can you stop the microphone for a moment, please? And then they started to tell me going further in their lives, you know, more intimate details of their lives, more emotions, but they did not want to have this published, of course. So for me to get to know them, and to be even more intimate. These were very, very precious moments for the two of us. But of course, I have very nice stories, because in the production of the preparation for the milonga, I got to know the wardrobes of the milongueros. So there is one milonguero. He is Julio Dupla. He is in the book. And he showed me his dressing room. He said, this is the dressing room of a milonguero. So it's a real room, I would say like 20 square meters. And there was everything in order, like all the ties, all the shoes, all the shirts, like with the color nicely, you know, and the pants. And then he showed me in the process, which was very interesting, how he starts to arrange what he will wear tonight. So I said to him, Julio, how long does it take you to arrange everything and put it on? And he said 2 hours. And afterwards, I had the possibility to ask his wife. She has just a small wardrobe outside of this room of Julio. And I asked her, how long does it take you to be ready? Then she says, I look at Julio, then I choose one dress and we leave. So
It's like the inverted situation normally in a relationship. Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. And on the other hand, I was portraying Filipinis, Los Filipinis, they are called, and she showed me her wardrobe also, which contained 83 dresses, and all of them were made by hand by herself. So I love dresses. I love shoes. And I was really taking every of these dresses and looking at them. So her legacy for me, or her present to me, was I could kind of touch her life in a way of touching her dresses. And then she allowed me to choose the dress she wants to wear afterwards. And I chose a really great blue dress. I would love to have myself, of course. And she looked beautiful. Yeah, and these are like the intimate things. It's like you see things on the photos, but these are like my precious remembrances I have of this time, you know, that I have seen two great wardrobes.
Yes, yes. And also in general, I suppose that it's just so interesting to talk about how you experienced the intimate life of these people, because again, that's something we never see.
I did it with a lot of respect, also with curiosity, and with the dedication and the target to really show them in a beautiful way, and show them as they are, as happy, passionate people who dedicated their life to tango, whose lifestyle is called tango.
Yes. Sorry, it's possible that you mentioned it before, but just as a reminder to myself and maybe to the listeners, how did you originally come up with this idea of like the intimate, like going at their homes and filming them? I'm not sure if I completely understood. Was that your idea? Was it Flor's idea? Because you could have also simply interviewed them at a milonga and made some photos there, and then it would have been a different book. Probably less interesting, but that's something you could have chosen to do. So how did you choose to go to their homes?
You know, I wanted to do no stereotypes. That also meant to me, I want to have moments of emotion. And I thought where do I get these moments of emotion? And I said to myself, at home, at home, like sitting opposite of them, having contact and having this intimacy that you only have at home. And we know as dancing tangos that the connection between two people, which is not seen from the other people outside of the dance, but which is felt when you are connecting in the dance, this is also very intimate. And I wanted to get into these intimate moments being at their homes, to come to the closest I could get to make photos.
Yes, I think it's very special how this also, like, you can have a plan, but it also really worked out well, and people were receptive. They were open to doing this at their homes. And yes, I think it's amazing how everything worked out for you, and how you chased this project, because you can have an idea, and then, like, a lot of people have ideas and they never do anything with it. They stay ideas. You actually went and you did all these things. So that's, yes, it's quite wonderful. And let me see what's next. Yes, it's a bit of a general question, and we may have covered it a little bit already, but like maybe like some information that's not in the book, like were there things you were not able to include, because it's not like you did 1 hour of interviews as well as making photos, but you have to like it's essentially book. Maybe you can show the viewers now with your book, like you have a copy there on your desk.
I have a copy there, and it comes in English. This is the English version. It comes in German and it comes in Spanish. So it's what I think is very interesting to really get into this tango mood when you are working. When you appreciate this book is that you also have QR codes in the book, these ones, which you can scan in your phone, like you scan the menu in the restaurants. And then you could listen to the favorite tangos of these milongueros whilst you read the text and you looked at the photos of them. So you have their personality more like globally, because you know then their tango, which is also quite intimate choice. When I ask you what's your favorite tango, then this is something very close to yourself. And so this is something very personal. And so you can like jump deeper in the book whilst listening. So it was a kind of legal, of course, it should be legal, everything in the book. So this was also a kind of work, how to make it legal to be able to play these tangos, which are from Tango Tunes, which is provides for DJs and takes the tangos from shellacs also.
So you worked with them too.
I worked with them. This is one of the steps to make it legal. And if you take tangos, from shellacs and you make a digital version, you cannot get rid of all the noise in the music. So some of these, of course, have a little noise in the back.
Yes, yeah. But if people scan this, so they scan the QR code, and then it takes them to the website.
Yeah.
And
I try to show it to you. So here we have written El Adios by Donato. Probably everybody knows. What I do in this case, I take my scanner, which looks like this. There are different ones. Maybe I show to you.
Yeah, that's visible. Yeah.
Now I scan the QR code. This is shown then. Then I go on the website. And then I go on play.
Yeah, I cannot hear it from here, but no, I cannot hear the music. No. You hear it?
Oh, yes.
Okay, no. Well, it's possible like Zoom has like a noise filter, so it filters out things in the background, so it might not recognize this. But,
I think so too. But I try again. But maybe
yeah, I hear like sometimes like some parts. Sometimes it's very strange, but it must be the some kind of filter. But yeah, I think it's clear how people can listen to the music then.
Yeah.
How did you originally, just very short, because we don't have a lot of time for this, but because we have some other things we still need to discuss, but how did you, so just short, how did you get it? How did you get find this idea to include the music? So was this something you thought of beforehand, or did it like during the interviews that they wanted you to listen to something? Like what happened?
It was like that I asked them for their favorite tango just to know, to get them to know more. But when I started to again to write the book, because in 2011 I made the photos and the interviews, but to make it into a book, I started during the pandemic. And then I thought, oh my God, I have the information of these favorite tangos. I should use it. And then the journey began to make it legal.
Yes. Well, that's clear. So let's talk about something that's well, there's pretty much two big topics left. So like the one is like how was it published and how did you promote it, and then like going to Buenos Aires for the book tour, so to say.
Yeah. So I have 3,000 books. You know what this means? It's 1,000 in German, 1,000 in English, and 1,000 in Spanish. The promotion is like starting in my personal surroundings, like my local milongas presentations there, being very active on Facebook, and also Tango Danza, you might know, which is a magazine in Germany for the German-speaking community, which is very, very famous and has great content. They wrote an article about my book, and also Tango Society, which is a podcast in Berlin. They also made an interview whilst I was in Buenos Aires. So we had a kind of Zoom interview. So this is also something I did. I chose a publisher which is Austrian. First, I thought I will do the distribution myself, but then I saw how complicated this is, especially with Amazon. And then I decided to look for a publisher, and I found one in Austria who does the distribution for me. Yeah, but I have a good contract, so I can also sell my books myself.
That's smart. So when exactly was it published? Last year, right?
Yes, October 22.
Yes. So let's just talk quickly about like how can people, I will include the information in the description, but let's just talk how can people buy your book if they're interested in your book.
Yeah, so it's like at the publisher directly. It's all mentioned on the paper I sent you. So it's either at Bibliothek der Provinz, that's the name of the publisher. It's either Amazon.de. You can have it in every bookstore. So we have these ISBN numbers, so you can order it from everywhere in the world. So, but I also have the offer that if you order 3 or more, you can order it with my email, which is also on this paper I sent you. And yeah, and the second possibility, of course, I also mentioned is the publisher himself. And then I have one bookstore in Buenos Aires, which is Badaraco Libros. I have a friend of a friend. He's called Walter Alegre, and he helped me to find this library. And of course, in the small village I live in Austria, in this bookstore, der kleine Buchladen, you also can purchase it.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not sure how many. That's funny. That's funny how many books there have been that were both actively published in like the international world as well as in like the Argentine, the Spanish, the local community of Buenos Aires, because you also aimed like it makes sense for a foreigner to publish a book in English and then promote that in the international community, but you also had it translated to Spanish to also access the audience in Buenos Aires. And yes, it must have been very strange for them that someone from abroad makes this book and then brings it back to their country about their country. Yeah. So it's
no, it's for me, it's a full circle thing. I came there to interview the people, and now I bring them the book. I brought these milongueros the book. I told them before, so I came with the book and I had these presentations, and it was also funny that, you know, if you dance with a porteño at the milongas, you normally are getting asked questions, or they ask you, what's your name, where you from, you know, all these things that repeat themselves, that get boring over time. And then they ask where you're from, are you here on vacation? And so I could say to them, no, I'm not on vacation, I'm here because I published a book about your culture and about this milonguero. So it was like something, what? It's not the same like all the time. And in this way, I found an Argentine who knows the one who presents at the Legislatura, at the Salón Dorado, all these tango personalities. And he, after the milonga, he called him. He said, you know, I have someone with a book here. She's from a small village in Austria, but it's a very intimate book about these milongueros. Can we do something about this? And he said, yeah, you will present at the Legislatura, and which is really a very elegant salon. And so we had for the Day of the Woman, the Day of the Woman is, we had an all-women orchestra there. We had a singer who already knew Carlos Gardel, who died in 1935. She was, I think, over 90, nearly 100. And we had Florencia and me, she with her project and I with mine. And we were there at the Legislatura, like honored, of course, and very proud, but it came with going at the milonga and telling about the project.
Yes. So this was not the only part of your tour there, right? Like you also went to milongas.
Yeah. I might show some photos if you like.
Yes, that would be cool. Yeah.
Let's see if it works out. I'm not very trained in this. So there we go. Can you see the photo?
Yes.
Okay. So this is the first milonga we went to, where I presented the book. That's me. And that's the milonga of Oscar Hector. Oscar Hector organizes milongas since 60 years right now. And he presents the tango with his sister Heidi. So this is the milonga. You can see me. You can see we always had some table in reservation. So they're friends of mine. Julio Dupla, one of our milongueros.
Yeah.
Famous dancers. And we also had a projection of the contents of the book. This is Oscar Hector with his sister. This is Florencia. This is Oscar Hector performing. He's also in his 80s, and Heidi also. This is Julio Dupla. He's the man with the wardrobe. And this is a milonguera, Coca Carteri. She won the world championship with her husband, who already died in 2007. So this is his milonga. So this was the start. Then next was Salon Marabout. Salon Marabout is where the milonga paracultural by Oma Viola takes place. So paracultural, which is one of the most enigmatic milongas of Buenos Aires. Here you can see some of our reserve tables with our milongueros.
Wow.
With Eduardo Pareja, Tito Rocca, and on the left you see Nelly. So this is Tito Rocca singing and Eduardo Pareja performing. Eduardo Pareja performing with Magdalena Guterres, quite a famous dancer. She always goes overseas. This is Oma Viola on the right. So we had a big party on these events. This is the group photo we took. And Tito singing during the milonga. And there you can see like Eduardo Pareja, his wife Rosita. They are married, I don't know, I think 80 years. Can this be true? And Florencia. And there you can see his photo in the book with him. And Tito with his book, this is the story I told you, that he performed for me a cappella, singing a tango in this tango show room. Then the next milonga was Milonga Gente Amiga. Milonga Gente Amiga is by Jose Luis Ferraro y Rika Fukada. She's Japanese. I just show the people how to use the QR code. This is also nice. So the organizers, this is Rika, this is Jose Luis. This is the couple that presented Jorge Garcia, who is in the book, and his wife, Susana Soa. Then we have here the milonguero in the book, Pedro Sanchez. This is the library in Buenos Aires where you can buy the books.
The bookshop, yeah.
Yeah. Friends of mine at the milonga, a fiesta. Yeah, and then the last photos are about the presentation in the Legislatura of Buenos Aires.
Yes.
Salón Dorado. Also with friends coming there, helping. Full, you know, full. Everyone came there. This is where we've been honored. So this is the honorary thing. Like, and I'm very proud about this. Por su aporte de la difusión del tango. So that I cared for the spreading of the tango.
Yes. Wow, that was a very interesting presentation, and yes, it must have been great to be in your shoes then when you had this whole tour, and you were able to get together with all these people in the book and to show people the book that you made, and like that sounds like like a very good time of your life, so to say?
I would say it's a milestone in my life, and it couldn't have been better. It's more than I could imagine how beautiful this worked out. And so the one sentence was very moving to me, was that one of those said to me, you know, you made a lot of people happy this night. And this was the sentence I will always remember, having this sentence in my heart.
Yes, yes. Well, thank you for talking about your book today. I think it was very interesting to get this particular insider's look of your work, of your project. And I'm happy at some point I saw this book in Facebook on my timeline. I don't remember how, but I added you as a friend because I thought it would be very interesting to talk about something like this in an interview, and it indeed has been very interesting. So thanks a lot for joining me today. And yes, as I said, I will link all the details in the presentation of my video. And I wish you the best with your further promotion of this book, and maybe other projects you might have in the future. So maybe we'll hear from you again. And yes, so that's everything I had to say. So thanks again. If there's anything left you would like to say, if there's anything that just came to mind that you haven't said yet, this is an opportunity for saying something if you have something left, but I'm not sure if you have.
I wanted to thank you, Lucas, personally, that you were interviewing me, and that I am now like on your website, and I'm very grateful about this. Thank you. And I found out that I like to tell stories.
Yes. But what do you mean in the sense of like what you did today, or do you mean with the book? Or sorry, I don't think
what I did today with you.
Okay.
Telling you my stories.
Yeah, well, I think you were expressing yourself very, very well, because you're very to the point when you speak.
Okay.
And yeah, some people have the tendency to go off topic, and that's okay, but then sometimes I have to steer them back in the direction, but you're constantly aware of what you want to say and how you say it, so it's very pleasant to listen to. So maybe you should do something with your talent.
Or we two, or the two of us together.
Yes, who knows? Like I said, thanks for today, and I hope to speak to you again soon.
Thank you, Lucas. Bye-bye.